This week's movie is one that if you've ever spent any time in cult movie groups online, you will have almost certainly have heard of it, if not seen it. It's The Pit, which is a 1981 Canadian horror film directed by Lew Lehman. I have to bury the lead here. This film is so bad in all of the right ways and deserves its reputation as being one of the great so bad it is good movies. But as usual, I'm getting ahead of myself, so let's start at the very beginning. Based on an original screenplay by Ian A. Stewart, the final film differed greatly in many respects from what was originally written. In the original screenplay, Jamie was much younger, aged around 8 or 9, and the Tralalogs were just figments of his imagination rather than being actual creatures that exist in the real world, it being much more a dark, gritty, straight horror than the actual film we ended up with. This being due to Lehman, the director, in his only directorial credit, deciding to make Jamie older, make the monsters real, and inject more humour into the script. It is a Canadian-funded production having a largely Canadian cast, but it was shot in Beaver Dam, Wisconsin, obviously in the United States. One tidbit about this film which I've seen mentioned several times in various places, but can't find any actual verifiable source for, so take the following with a grain of salt, but I have to repeat here because I think it explains a lot about this movie's idiosyncrasies and the kind of man that made it. Lew Lehman's wife forbade him to be on set for any of the nude scenes in the movie except one. The one where his daughter Jennifer Lehman did a skinny dipping scene. Yeah, that tidbit explains a whole lot about Mr. Lehman and the film he made here, because whilst watching The Pit, much like I hope your reaction to the above tidbit was, what the actual fuck is going to be ever present in your mind. Mainly because this film is all over the place and makes a lot of baffling, yet ultimately very entertaining choices. We start with it being very much a twisted thriller, with Jamie played by Sammy Snyders being a troubled boy who is tormented by everyone and pretty much friendless in this world. His only friend is his Teddy, who he constantly talks to. His Teddy also talks back, and we as an audience hear these full conversations. This kid's even bullied by old ladies in wheelchairs. He's also a massive pervert, which is the opening act's main focus when his parents go on a business trip. He is left in the care of psychology student Sandy, played by Jeannie Elias, with whom Jamie becomes instantly besotted, where Jamie variously tortures Sandy by doing a lot of very unsettling acts, especially if you are a female who babysits prepubescent boys, variously peeking at her panties, watching her sleeping, declaring his ever undying love for her, sneaking into the bathroom and writing I love you on the bathroom mirror while she showers, and stealing her things. The first act is a very unsettling and creepy psychological thriller, made all the better by the two leads acting. Snyder as Jamie is awkward and uncomfortable in all the best ways possible. You could argue his acting is either Oscar worthy or Razzie worthy. It doesn't matter, because you are either going to have fits of laughter at his "this kid has got serious issues" level of awkwardness, or believe this kid is straight up a psychopath. Either reaction will keep you entertained. Elias as Sandy is just so damned cute and innocent in her interactions with Jamie. She's by far the best actor in the movie also. She and Jamie together on screen are generally the most entertaining scenes. It's a shame she mainly went on to become a successful voice actor instead of an on-screen one, because she had Scream Queen star potential in my eyes. The film then transforms in the second act into a farcical horror comedy, where Jamie lures various victims who have been mean to him over the years, and largely the first act of this film, to their demise at the Pit, which was shot on a soundstage in Toronto rather than being an actual genuine location. The way he does this is, I believe, intentionally played off for comedy laughs. I say this because the way he does it is farcical. The lines are delivered in a comedy deadpan tone, and the actual musical prompts and overtones are entirely comedic. just like in this scene.
I'm sorry about that, Miss Oliphant. But like my father says, we all have to go sometime.
Yeah, they play that musical, haha, we just did a funny after every death. What makes this entertaining though is this could be entirely unintentional because this film is just that bad, and yet isn't at all at the same time. He also does the most bizarre peeping Tom routine on his next door neighbour you will ever see. Either everyone in this town is a moron, or Jamie is secretly a genius. Then the film breaks out into being a creature feature, and the Trogologs, or whatever Jamie calls them, are set free and start eating the general populace. Which is when Mr. Lehman decided it was a great idea to immortalise his daughter's titties on film. I can't put into words how odd I find the concept of filming your own naked daughter, but I digress because honestly this might be the weirdest thing I've ever come across so far making these videos. And I covered a severed head attempting a felonious sexual assault on Barbara Crampton. The costumes are clearly men in suits, which thankfully the director at least had the good sense to not show them for very long or clearly on screen, so they aren't too bad when you take into account the $1 million Canadian budget and the year this was made. In the end, a posse of hunters manages to round up the Tralalogs back into their pit and gun them down. Jamie moves to his grandparents and meets a nice little girl, and they become best friends and everyone lives happily ever after. Wait, no, she also has a pit full of Tralalogs and she feeds Jamie to them. The end. Is The Pit a good movie? Absolutely no, but it is an utterly goddamned entertaining one. The type of movie I can't do justice to with mere words. You have to see this for yourself. Everything here is fairly bad, but combines into a whole that is far greater than the sum of its parts. The bizarre tonal shifts would be jarring and net-breaking in other movies. Here they are actually as a result of the narrative and make sense somewhat in a bizarre way. They also mean the film's pace keeps you entertained throughout the 96-minute runtime, even if a lot of that entertainment is just being what the fuck did I just see or hear. Admittedly, the premise of weird perverted teen is bullied by everyone, snaps then kills them all, is a well-worn trope these days, but The Pit is really entertainingly done. The kind of movie you need to fill the fridge with beers, fill your viewing room with friends, and just sit back and laugh at. So that was The Pit, a very strange oddity of a film which I highly recommend if you are a fan of silly B-movie horrors from the 80s, or just so bad they are good movies in general, because this qualifies on both counts. Nothing here is good exactly except the entertainment value, which is off the charts, intentional or not. Like, comment and subscribe if you enjoyed that, because next week it is Galaxy of Terror, a Roger Corman alien ripoff, and a viewer request.